Picture this. I'm standing in the middle of my living room, surrounded by walls that have seen better days, with a paintbrush in one hand and a dream in the other. My name's Scarlett. I'm 32, and this is the life I've built with Ethan, my husband of 6 years. He's 35, an accountant with a steady hand on numbers, but not so much on a hammer. We've carved out our little corner of the world in a suburban neighborhood just outside Chicago, in a 2-story fixer-upper that's been more fixer than upper since we bought it 2 years ago. It's not much, but it's ours. And every chipped piece of paint and creaky floorboard holds a promise of what could be. Life with Ethan is, well, it's comfortable, like slipping into a worn-in pair of jeans. I work from home as a graphic designer, spending my days hunched over a laptop in our cramped spare room that doubles as my office. Ethan's gone most of the day, buried in spreadsheets and client calls, but when he comes home, there's a quiet rhythm to our evenings. We'll settle on the couch with some mindless TV show flickering in the background, sharing takeout or whatever I've managed to whip up in our outdated kitchen. Sometimes we'll plan a weekend getaway, a quick escape to a lakeside cabin or a quaint bed and breakfast, just to break the monotony. But mostly, it's just us in this house, navigating the mundane together. Ethan's a good man, the kind who'd drop everything if I needed him, but he's not one for grand gestures or spilling his heart. He shows his love in small ways, fixing my computer when it crashes for the 100th time, or making sure there's always a fresh pot of coffee waiting for me in the morning, even if he leaves his mug on the counter every single time without fail. I tease him about it, of course, just like I rib him about his hopeless DIY skills. The man can balance a budget to the penny, but give him a screwdriver, and it's like watching a toddler with a toy tool set. Still, there's something endearing about it, something that makes me smile even when I'm rolling my eyes. Our house, though, it's a whole other story. It's got character, I'll give it that, but it's the kind of character that comes with peeling paint in the living room, exposing patches of drywall that look like they've been through a war. The stairs creak with every step, groaning like they're begging for mercy. And don't even get me started on the kitchen. It's straight out of the 1970s, with avocado green cabinets and a linoleum floor that's seen better days. The sink drips no matter how many times Ethan's tried to tighten the faucet, and the oven takes forever to heat up. But we've got plans. Big plans. After months of pinching pennies and pushing it off, here I am, standing in the middle of our living room on a Thursday evening, the air thick with the sharp chemical tang of fresh paint. Drop cloths are spread out like a patchwork quilt across the floor, crinkling underfoot, while paint cans and a toolbox we barely know how to use sit haphazardly in the corner. Ethan's over by the wall, grunting as he wrestles with a crowbar, trying to pry off the old stubborn baseboards that refuse to budge. His old gray t-shirt is streaked with dust, and his jeans are sagging at the knees from all the crouching. I'm not much better off, my own faded tee clinging to my back with sweat, my arms screaming in protest from holding a heavy roller for what feels like forever. We started this with a laugh, cracking jokes about how we're probably the least qualified people to tackle a renovation, but that light-hearted vibe is long gone now. 3 hours have dragged by, and the living room looks like a war zone. Half-painted walls stare back at us, streaked and uneven, mocking our efforts. Tools are scattered everywhere, a hammer here, a paintbrush there, like we've just given up on any sense of order. My hands are sticky with paint, and my nose wrinkles at the lingering fumes that seem to cling to everything. I can still hear the echo of Ethan's low curse from a few minutes ago, when he accidentally smashed his thumb with the hammer. I glanced over just in time to see him shake his hand out, his face twisted in pain, muttering something under his breath I'm pretty sure wasn't meant for polite company. I didn't say anything, just bit my lip to keep from smirking, but inside, I was wincing for him. Then there was my own disaster. Not 10 minutes later, I managed to tip over an entire tray of paint, watching in horror as it splattered across the drop cloth, and of course, a good chunk of the uncovered floor. I scrambled to clean it up, my heart racing as I grabbed rags and wiped furiously, but the damage was done. The pale beige stain is still there, a glaring reminder of my clumsiness, and I can feel the frustration bubbling up inside me. We're in way over our heads, and it's becoming painfully clear with every passing minute. The living room doesn't just look worse than when we started. It looks like a demolition site, not a renovation project. The tension between us is starting to crackle like static. Ethan's over by the ladder now, trying to reach a high spot on the wall, and he snaps at me to hold it steady, his voice sharp and clipped. I grip the metal frame tighter, my knuckles whitening, and roll my eyes so hard I'm surprised they don't get stuck. Maybe if we'd hired someone from the start, we wouldn't be playing circus act right now, I mutter, just loud enough for him to hear. He doesn't respond, but I see his jaw tighten, and It's Friday morning, and I'm in the kitchen, cradling a warm mug of coffee, the bitter aroma grounding me after last night's chaos of paint and frustration. The house is quiet, save for the faint sound of water running upstairs where Ethan's taking a shower. I'm still in my pajamas, hair a mess, when the doorbell chimes, sharp and insistent. I set the mug down, a little annoyed at the interruption, and shuffle to the front door, expecting maybe a delivery or a neighbor. But when I swing it open, I'm met with a sight that stops me cold. 3 construction workers stand on my porch, their presence filling the space like a storm rolling in. The first, Jake, is tall and rugged, late 30s, with a confident smirk that tugs at the corner of his mouth. Tattoos snake out from under the rolled-up sleeves of his flannel shirt, dark ink against weathered skin. Then there's Marcus, broader in the shoulders, early 40s, with a deep, resonant voice that seems to rumble even when he's just saying hello. His gaze is friendly but intense, locking onto mine in a way that makes my pulse jump. And finally, Tyler, the youngest at maybe 28, lean but muscular, with a playful grin and messy blonde hair he keeps pushing back with a calloused hand. Their work boots thud heavily on the wooden porch as they shift their weight, the faint scent of sawdust and sweat lingering in the air around them. Tool belts hang low on their hips, clinking with every movement. Hammers, screwdrivers, and measuring tapes jangling like a warning bell. They're here to fix what Ethan and I so spectacularly failed at last night, and I can't help but feel a strange mix of relief and something else, something I can't quite name yet. I step aside, gesturing for them to come in, and their boots echo through the hallway as they enter. I'm hyper-aware of every detail, the way Jake's broad frame brushes past me, the way Marcus's eyes linger on the messy living room with a nod of understanding, the way Tyler's grin widens as he catches sight of the paint splatter I couldn't fully clean up. They start surveying the space, talking among themselves in low, gruff tones about drywall patches and trim work. I nod along, trying to keep up with their jargon, pointing out the worst of the damage from our amateur attempt. Everything feels professional at first, all business as they haul in equipment, ladders, tarps, and power tools that look far more intimidating than anything Ethan and I ever touched. Their movements are practiced, efficient, a stark contrast to our fumbling chaos. Ethan comes downstairs a few minutes later, hair still damp from the shower, dressed in a button-up for his remote work day. He gives the workers a polite nod, his expression neutral, and mumbles something about a conference call before disappearing into his home office at the back of the house. I'm left alone to oversee things, standing awkwardly in the living room as the trio gets to work. But as the morning stretches on, something inside me starts to shift, like a dormant ember flaring to life. I haven't felt this kind of rush in years, not since the early days with Ethan when everything was new and electric. It's unsettling, this sudden excitement, this pull I can't explain. I find myself lingering near them, asking questions I don't really need answers to. About the difference between types of sanders, about how long a coat of paint needs to dry. My voice sounds different, lighter, and I catch myself laughing too loudly at a casual quip Jake makes about how our choice of beige is safe but boring. I'm brushing my hair back, tucking it behind my ear in a way I know looks flirtatious, while I'm talking to Marcus about the timeline for the repairs. He's explaining something about reinforcing the wall, but I'm barely listening, too focused on the warmth of his smile when he compliments how I've kept the house together despite its state. Then I'm over by Tyler, leaning in closer than necessary as he shows me how to hold a sander, his hand brushing mine for just a second. I'm standing in the hallway, my heart thundering in my chest like a drum that won't stop. The air feels heavy, thick with the aftermath of what just unfolded. My face is burning, flushed with a heat I can't shake, and my hands tremble as I clutch them together, trying to steady myself. I can't bring myself to glance toward the living room where Ethan is, still frozen in place, staring at the half-painted wall as if it holds some kind of answer. I know he saw everything. Every lingering look, every charged moment that spiraled out of control. Jake, Marcus, and Tyler, though, they're back to their tasks as if nothing happened. Their voices low and professional now, exchanging subtle, knowing glances that only deepen the knot in my stomach. They're sanding down edges and hammering nails with a rhythm that feels almost mocking in its normalcy. While I'm unraveling right here in the open, I take a shaky breath, trying to pull myself together, but my body betrays me. My palms are slick with sweat, and I wipe them on my jeans, hoping no one notices. I can't look at Ethan. Not yet. Not when the weight of what I've done is pressing down on me like a physical force. I take a hesitant step toward the living room, my sneakers scuffing against the hardwood, and I see him there, his shoulders rigid, his gaze fixed on that uneven patch of paint. I open my mouth to say something, anything, but the words stumble out in a pathetic stammer. Ethan, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean for... He doesn't let me finish. He just shakes his head, slow and deliberate, a gesture that cuts deeper than any words could. Without a sound, he turns and heads for the stairs, his footsteps heavy, each one echoing like a gavel in my mind. I watch him disappear around the corner, and I'm left standing there, hollowed out, the silence swallowing me whole. My thoughts are a storm, spinning and crashing into each other with no mercy. How did I let this happen? How did I get here, to this moment where everything feels like it's slipping through my fingers? Was it just boredom? The monotony of our routine eating away at me until I reached for something, anything, to feel alive again? Or is this some kind of midlife reckoning, a crisis I didn't see coming at 32? Or maybe it's deeper, something I've been ignoring for too long, a crack in the foundation of our marriage I pretended wasn't there. I've always told myself Ethan and I were solid, comfortable, but now I'm questioning everything. Did I miss the signs? Did I push him away without even realizing it? The questions loop endlessly, each one sharper than the last, and I have no answers. Just this gnawing regret that's clawing at my insides. I try to distract myself, moving toward the workers, grabbing a spare rag to wipe down a dusty shelf, anything to keep my hands busy. But the air in the room is suffocating, charged with unspoken tension that I can't escape. Every strike of a hammer, every scrape of a sander, feels like a judgment, a reminder of the line I crossed. I'm hyper-aware of their presence, Jake's steady focus as he measures a piece of trim, Tyler's quick movements as he patches a hole in the drywall, Marcus's quiet strength as he lifts a heavy board into place. I'm trying to act normal, to blend into the background, but I feel exposed, like they can see right through me. Then Marcus catches my eye, his expression softening for just a moment as he steps closer, lowering his voice so the others can't hear. "You okay, Scarlett?" he asks, genuine concern in his tone. I freeze, the warmth of his voice stirring something in me I wish I could bury. Shame floods through me, mingling with a flicker of that same dangerous attraction I felt earlier. I force a tight smile, shaking my head quickly. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just tired." I lie, turning away before he can press further, before I say something I'll regret even more. My eyes keep dart. I stand there in the hallway for what feels like an eternity, my chest tight, my mind a tangled mess of guilt and fear. I know I can't stay down here, avoiding the inevitable. I have to face Ethan, have to try and salvage whatever's left of us. My feet feel like they're made of lead as I force myself to move, each step up the creaky staircase echoing louder than the last, a somber drumbeat to the confrontation I dread. The air grows heavier with every inch I climb, the faint hum of the air conditioner upstairs doing little to cool the heat of shame burning under my skin. I reach the top, my breath shallow, and pause outside our bedroom door. It's ajar, just enough to see a sliver of dim light spilling out, and I push it open with a trembling hand. There he is, Ethan, sitting on the edge of our unmade bed, the rumpled sheets a stark reminder of the mornings we used to spend tangled up in each other, laughing over nothing. Now, the room feels like a stranger's space, cold despite the summer warmth seeping through the cracked window. The bedside lamp casts a soft, yellowish glow, but it only deepens the shadows under his eyes. His shoulders are slumped, heavy with a weight I know I've put there, and he stares at the floor, hands clasped tight between his knees like he's holding himself together by sheer will. I can barely swallow past the lump in my throat as I step inside, the floorboard groaning under my weight, betraying my presence. He doesn't look up, not yet, and the silence is a blade, cutting deeper with every second. "Ethan," I start, my voice cracking like brittle glass, barely above a whisper. "I'm so sorry. I don't even know how to begin to explain. Please, just say something. Anything. I'm pleading now, my words tumbling out in a desperate rush, raw and unpolished." I stand there, rooted to the spot, my arms wrapped around myself, as if they could shield me from the fallout I know is coming. My eyes are stinging, hot with unshed tears, but I blink them back, not wanting to break down before he's even spoken. Finally, he lifts his head, and the look in his eyes steals the air from my lungs. They're red-rimmed, raw with a pain so visceral it's like I've been punched. His gaze locks onto mine, steady but wounded, and when he speaks, his voice is low, controlled, each word deliberate. "I saw it all, Scarlett. Every glance, every moment you thought I didn't notice. I stood there, frozen, feeling like I couldn't do a damn thing to stop it. Not because I didn't care, but because I've been drowning in my own head for months, feeling like I'm not enough for you, like I've never been enough." His words hit like a wave, crashing over me, and I can't look away, can't escape the truth in them. He takes a shaky breath, running a hand through his hair, and continues, his voice quieter now, but no less piercing. "I've seen you pulling away, bit by bit. The way you've been distant, the way you light up around other people in a way you haven't with me in so long. I was too scared to bring it up, too afraid of what it would mean if I asked. And today just confirmed every fear I've been carrying. I kept telling myself I was imagining things, but I wasn't, was I?" His question hangs in the air, sharp and accusing, and I feel my knees buckle under the weight of it. I collapse onto the bed beside him, not too close, leaving a chasm of space between us that feels wider than it should. My voice breaks as I try to respond, tears spilling over now, hot trails down my cheeks. "I don't know why I did it, Ethan. I swear, I don't. I love you. I've always loved you. But I felt so trapped in this routine, this life we've built. I felt empty, like I was just going through the motions, and I reached for it Saturday morning now, and I'm sitting at the kitchen table, a cold cup of coffee in front of me, untouched for hours. I didn't sleep last night, not really, just a few restless minutes here and there, haunted by the memory of Ethan's wounded eyes, and the sound of his voice breaking as he laid bare his pain. My own eyes are puffy, swollen from crying until there were no tears left, just a dull ache behind them. My chest feels hollow, like something vital has been scooped out, leaving a void that throbs with every breath. The house is quieter than it's ever been, an oppressive silence that presses against me, making the emptiness feel like a living thing. The avocado green cabinets, the chipped linoleum floor, even the drip of the faucet. It all seems to mock me, reminding me of the life we were trying to build, the life I've jeopardized with one reckless moment. I hear the faint rumble of a truck outside, the familiar sound of work boots crunching on the gravel driveway. It's Jake, Marcus, and Tyler, back to continue the renovation. My stomach twists at the thought of facing them, of seeing those knowing glances again. The unspoken judgment, or worse, the lingering spark I felt before everything fell apart. I can't do it. I drag myself to the front door, my bare feet cold against the hardwood, and crack it open just enough to speak through the gap. My voice is hoarse, barely above a whisper, as I tell them the project's on hold for now, that they should come back another day. I don't wait for a response, just shut the door and lean against it, my forehead pressed to the cool wood, trying to steady the storm inside me. I hear their muffled voices outside, a brief exchange, before the truck engine roars to life and fades into the distance. Only then do I let out a shaky breath, sliding down to the floor, my knees pulled to my chest as the weight of everything crashes over me again. I don't know how long I sit there, lost in the fog of my thoughts, before I find myself wandering back to the kitchen. There's a shoebox on the counter, one I haven't touched in years, filled with old photos from happier times. I pull it down with trembling hands, the cardboard edges worn soft from age, and start flipping through the memories. There we are, Ethan and me, on our wedding day 6 years ago. I'm in a simple white dress, laughing as he twirls me under a canopy of string lights, his smile so wide it crinkles the corners of his eyes. Another photo shows us on our honeymoon, standing on a beach at sunset, my head resting on his shoulder as the waves crash behind us. My fingers trace the edges of the pictures, and I wonder where we went wrong. Was it the monotony that crept in? The way our days became a predictable loop of work and routine? Or was it me, carrying a restlessness I didn't know how to name until it led me astray? The ache in my chest deepens as I stare at those frozen moments of joy, knowing I might never see that lightness in Ethan's face again. By noon, I'm still at the table, the photos scattered around me like pieces of a puzzle I can't solve, when I hear the front door creak open. My heart lurches, a mix of dread and desperate hope, as Ethan steps into the kitchen. He looks as exhausted as I feel, his face pale, dark circles etched under his eyes like bruises. His hair is mussed, his shirt wrinkled, as if he's been up all night too. He doesn't say anything at first, just pulls out the chair across from me and sits down. The scrape of the legs against the floor, the only sound in the stifling quiet. I can't meet his gaze, not yet, so I stare at my hands, at the chipped polish on my nails, waiting for him to speak, to decide our fate. "I stayed at a hotel last night," he finally says, his voice rough, like it's been dragged over gravel. "Needed space to think about everything." He pauses, and I can hear the weight in that silence. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.